I asked you a few weeks ago, did you hit your targets for this year? And so many people came back saying, unfortunately, they didn't. And I bet you can relate to this. This comment came in and said, I did not achieve my aims for this year. I wanted to first lower my handicap in the range of about 25 to 28. And secondly, I wanted to hit my driver up to 210, 220 meters consistently. Not achieved. Now for me, one of the biggest power leaks that it's not spoken about is spin loft. But that's ridiculously different. High right shoulder, and we start to address the golf ball in that position of driver. Now that sounds like a complicated thing. I will explain that in a second. But essentially, the higher spin loft you have for a said yardage, the shorter your shot will go. Let me hit one away here, right? And this ball, I'm going to try and swing it around 100 miles an hour. We're going to anticipate a lot of spin, a lot of height, and a very, very short yardage. So let me just hit this one away for a impact which would have a high spin loft. Something a little bit like this. Like that. Not particularly high, that one. I hit it right off the bottom. But you need to see these numbers. We'll hit the exact same club head speed during this video, and you're going to see, I reckon, 20, 25 more yards, at least, right? Right, so have a look at this. Carry 112, spin 6,250. And just so we can measure the club head speed, we said around 100, but it's 81.4. I'll try and match this exact speed afterwards, and let's see this number go up to around 20, 25 yards. So the principles would apply at any given speed. Let's firstly explain what on earth is spin loft. So let's say this is our golf ball here. We're going to be hitting in this direction, okay? Let's say this is our golf club head. The difference is, right, and this is how spin loft's calculated, what is the angle of attack the golf club is travelling in, and what is the loft of the club at impact. So the bigger this vector between the angle of attack, right, so how's our club travelling in relation to the ball at impact? Is it travelling up or is it travelling down? We tend to see the more it travels down and the more loft, being this one, we have, the bigger the spin loft. So this would be a prime example. I'll bring this to life in a second, but spin loft is the difference between the loft of the club at impact and the angle of attack. That's really important to understand. So what we're going to try and do here is, let's create the same scenario, golf ball, club head, hitting in this direction still. We want to start to hit up on the golf ball and let's say keep similar loft to what we have on the golf club here. You're then going to start to reduce this spin loft. That's quite an exaggerated version, but now that spin loft is small, isn't it? That vector's got smaller. This would create high spin. I mean, look at our numbers, 6,250, 112 carry, 81 club head speed. So we're going to try and make that 81 club head speed, and let's see what this does and that does. And this is astonishing, right? You make that vector between your angle of attack and the loft of your club at impact smaller. With driver, I stress this, with driver, you lower the spin and you hit it further for the same club head speed. It's like 3 yardage. Let's bring this to life, right? The bad one, that is. Then we'll start getting into that fix. We pretty much hit that shot before, but just to explain this a little bit slower, we had our downwards action, which was this, which is also a very across the golf ball club path. And you think about it, when we slice it, where's our face? It's open. And when our face is open, we are adding loft to that golf club. So this is 10 degrees, right, at this setting. As I open that face, I'm making that, let's say, 15 degrees. So if I'm hitting down by 5, right, and I've got 15 degrees of loft now on this driver, that's a spin loft of 20 degrees. A big number, isn't it? Just a simple example, simple maths right now. So if we can reduce that significantly, that's how we're going to really start to improve. So just to really, really hammer that home, open face in that manner right there, that manner or you could even think about it as a bit of a scooper. Essentially, hitting down more, adding loads of loft, creates a very weak scenario. So the first place I would always look, if you came to me for a lesson, which is the same thing I want to give you here in person, is that setup. Now, I tend to see inherently, slicers, unfortunately, we have high right hip, high right shoulder, and we start to address the golf ball in that position. Also pay note to where my hands are, significantly behind the golf ball, adding loft. Shoulder out, hip high, over the top hitting down. That's our bad scenario. So the first thing I would look at here is, let's feel like we bump that lead hip a bit more to target. We pull that right shoulder back. Now look where I'm pushing my hands to. I'm not pushing them ahead of the golf ball, but I'm pushing them a little bit level. So what's that doing to the golf club head? I'm now starting to take loft off. So I keep repeating this, but I'm creating the opposite scenario at that address position that looks a little bit like this. Now I do have a drill for you for that taking loft off, and it's almost like, I call it run up the wall drill, but let me hit this one away and just show you. Again, I'm looking around 80 miles an hour club speed, and look at the spin and shot on this. I really hope that was the same club head speed, because that was absolutely nutted. Look at the difference in that. That was absolutely bang on. 81.3. It was 81.4 before, right? So that's pretty close. Ball speed, 122. Now, this is really interesting. What was our spin? What are we thinking? What was our carry? 189 carry. Spin was still a little bit high. Maybe it was a little bit off the bottom. But that's ridiculously different. That is ridiculously different. Crazy. I wonder what our numbers are in angle of attack, right? I reckon we've absolutely nailed this in for angle of attack as well. That's the total. Showing you off now. 196. Let's find this. Oh, angle of attack. Still wasn't perfect. Got to do that run up the wall drill. It was still down. But before we were like 4 or 5 on the down. Now we're only 1. So straight away, we've started to get a little closer to this right hand area here. You know what? Let's do this actually. Let me draw out that scenario right there. So let's just explain exactly why that went, well, from 112 all the way to 189. Spin was still a bit high, which sounds picky, this, I know. I want something closer to this in a minute, where we're hitting up with still lower loft. So why did this go 112 compared to this at 189? Well, I hit down more on this one. I hit down less. And I had less loft. I had way more loft. So you can see how this gap here, this vector between this line and that line, is so much smaller. Right, but my work here is not done with you. I want to get this spin lower. I believe we can, you know, and that should be really inviting to you. You're probably thinking, oh, 81's about my limit. I'm carrying it about 160, finishing around the 200. Well, if you can carry it around 200 in the height of summer, we're looking at a 230 finisher. Now that is totally different in terms of like what club you're going into the hole with, what shot selection you're going to have, then your handicap's only going to go one way. That means getting better, by the way, going down. I also want to stress that the fact that you might think, oh, setup doesn't have that much of an effect. It does, because look how I'm orientating my body from there to there. Well, that's going to really change where my club's travelling from. It sounds so trivial, I know you all think it is, but it's really, really not. Okay, the wall drill, run up the wall. So I want you to imagine, this is our golf ball. Let's get a little bit closer here, this is really good. Before, we were like this. We're going to imagine now our club head, relative to the golf ball, is travelling low to high. We're trying to run it up over it. You know, like if you were putting topspin, almost trying to put topspin on it, you'll never do that because of the way the club is designed. But trying to put topspin on it, taking loft off the driver, hitting up as the sensation, that's how we take this to the next level. That's how we take more loft off that driver as that feeling and hitting up on that. And I want to stress one thing here. I'm saying take loft off the driver relative to a golfer that is smashing down with a massively open face and loads of loft. So my feeling for you would be, place your golf club on the ground and practice dragging and moving it up. Dragging and moving it up. Dragging and moving it up. Okay? So it's really feeling that sensation. that sensation, that sensation. And if I was sort of describing that, if I was doing it left-handed, it would be like throwing a frisbee, or it would be putting topspin on. That'd be another sensation that I would have. Should we try that one away? And let's hit this one. And again, around the 81 miles an hour, and see this distance. So I'm gonna try that one for me. That one. These are all feels, by the way, guys. I've got my hip, got my setup, 81-ish. I didn't get that one at all. Didn't get it at all. Let's see what we got. Hit it a bit out of the heel. Hit that one a little bit out of the heel, but still carried 143 yards. Still way further than the first ball. But let's see if I can get one out the middle this time. There we go. Look at that shape. That's got to be bob on. Distance. Now, the reason why I was acting so surprised is, look at that, 79.3 clubhead speed. So 2 miles an hour less, right? 2 miles an hour less. Now, I did launch a little higher because I hit up on it by quite a lot because I was exaggerating the feeling. Now, I want to show you this. Drum roll, please. Let me load this in. 186 carry. 186 carry. 3 yards shorter than the first one, I know. But I'm going to be here all day trying to match that clubhead speed exactly. But 186 carry. So from the start, get our whiteboard back up, we've gone from a clubhead speed of 81.4, loads of spin, 112 carry, reducing the spin, same clubhead speed, look at the carry. And the spin was, look at this, compared to this side. So hopefully you've learned, just by making the tweaks to those setup, having that feeling through the shot. Actually, I just want to show you that feeling again, just so you know you're on the same page. You can start to create a much more, that's the word, nearly forgot the word, much more efficient impact. So just to reiterate that feeling through the ball, we're looking to hit up, and that feeling of taking loft off, either that action with the lead wrist, or that feeling of, so it's up the wall through the ball. I do hope you enjoyed that, and don't forget, if you did enjoy this video, to subscribe to the channel.